Hi, my name is Andrew Rager, and I would like to talk to you about October of 1967. On October 1st, 6 people were killed by an earthquake measuring 6.1 on the Richter scale in Los Angeles. Also on that day, Fiji's constitution was suspended. On the 3rd, Benito Santiago ends the longest catcher and rookie hitting streak at 34 consecutive days. Also on the 3rd, Michael Prufer of France skis 135 miles per hour in Chile, as well as the USSR performs an underground nuclear test. On the 4th, it was the first Sunday in which replacement players played in an NFL game. They call this Scrub Sunday. Also on the 4th, the Blue Jays lost their final of 7 games that allowed the Tigers to come back and win the American League pennant. On the 10th, Bruce Springsteen released his 9th album, Tunnel of Love. A lot of people will be familiar with that. And on the 11th, 2,000 people marched for civil gay rights in Washington. On the 12th, the Minnesota Twins beat the Detroit Tigers to go on to the World Series. And on the 13th, the military used their first trained dolphin for use with the Navy in the Persian Gulf. On the 14th, it was my birthday. Pretty proud and happy about that. As well as the St. Louis Cardinals beat the San Francisco Giants in 7 games to go on to the World Series. This is actually opposite of what happened this year, where the Giants beat the Cardinals. Also on the 14th, in Midland, Texas, a girl who was only a year and a half fell into a well 22 feet. We learned later about what happened to her. On the 15th, the Players Association ended their 24-day strike, and then the replacement players were gotten rid of. Also on the 15th, the Great Storm of 1987 starts to hit France and England. On the 16th, thanks to that storm, 175-mile-an-hour winds, which we do classify as hurricane force winds, black out London and much of southern England. Also on the 16th, 338 million shares are traded on the New York stock market, that was a record at the time. Unfortunately, it wasn't traded for good reasons. The Dow Jones fell for the first time more than 100 points by 108.35, and that worse was yet to come for the stock market. On the 16th, we find out that after 58 hours, Jessica McClure, the girl that fell in the well in Texas, was finally saved. On the 17th, the first World Series game played indoors is played at the Minnesota Metrodome between the Minnesota Twins and the St. Louis Cardinals. On Monday the 19th is what we consider Black Monday. It was the day that the Dow Jones dropped 508 points, 4.5 times the previous record, which was 22% of the total Dow Jones Industrial Average at the time, which is a record to this day. On the 20th, it did rebound a little bit, increasing 102 points, and 608 million shares were traded then, which was almost doubling the record that was just set a couple days before. On the 25th, the Minnesota Twins went on to win their first World Series championship by beating the St. Louis Cardinals 4-3, which happened to be the 84th World Series. The Dow Jones, as the stock market as we always see, was down, very volatile, down 156 points on the 26th then. On the 31st, interesting little fact that I like about, the first jockey to win 9 races in one day. Jockey is a horse rider. They do races like at the Preakness and Churchill Downs, as well as the Belmont where this took place. Chris Antley won 9 races in one day. A couple other facts about October of 1987. The average cost of the new house was $92,000. The average income per year is $24,350, which I almost want to say that's less than what minimum wage would be if you worked a full-time minimum wage job at this point. The average price of a new car was only $10,000. That's pretty low. Average price of gas, 1 gallon of gas was 89 cents. We've seen $3.89 around here. Think of paying $3 less for your gasoline. U.S. postage stamp was 24 cents. A pound of bacon was only $1.80. A dozen eggs, 65 cents. So you were earning a lot less in 1987, but everything cost a lot less too. We like to call that inflation. A couple other things that I like about 1987 was not only the model of car, but I've already told you the average price, but just to clarify, some of the prices with the cars. Models of cars, top selling models of cars in 1987 for October were the Ford Escort, the Taurus, the Honda Accord, the Chevy Cavalier, the Chevy Celebrity, the Oldsmobile Sierra, the Nissan Sentra, Ford Tempo, the Chevrolet Corsica, the Pontiac Grand Am, the Chevrolet Caprice, the Honda Civic, and the Ford Mustang. The Ford Mustang at the time was going for $9,209. A Chevrolet Cavalier was only going for $7,395. A Ford Taurus, $11,808. My father bought a Ford Taurus in 1999 for over $22,000. So only in 12 years it went up, $11,000, which is quite a significant amount of money. That's one of the things that we definitely see. I look at all these events. We had quite historic things going on with the stock market and sports, just in life in general. But the prices, how cheaper things were, only 25 years ago. I'm 25. It was really only 25 years and 2 months ago to this, where we are right now, where these events and these prices were taking place. And to see things that are so much cheaper than they were or so much cheaper than they are now, is pretty impressive, and almost quite sad at some point to see how much things have cost now.